We did get a bit of rain last night, and the sump that I dug yesterday worked pretty well. Alright, just digging out this here a bit more of a sump down in that little corner. I think the little pump's running. It's very quiet, so I'll go down and see if there's anything coming out the out hole. The pump's taking the water down a little bit. I can tell from the frog and the sort of gap in the water between the ladder and the side. It's got less. A lot of mosquitoes down there flying around. Be a bit hard to see, it's getting a bit dark. It's just on dusk, but I've been down digging out that side bit a bit more. It's now, I'll say 6.5 feet deep down to the lower bit. So that point there is about the height where my head's got to be when I start going that way. So it's a lot of digging. I'm not sort of delusioned about the fact that it's a lot of digging, but you know, I've got this far. The first, it gets harder you go further you go down, because it's more rock and less clayey stuff. In fact, it's probably going to be all rock. And also it's a little bit further to climb down and a little bit further to pull the buckets up. Got to be a bit more like Dale and Turbo and set up a winch up here somewhere. I'm pointing up here, so I can put the buckets on a platform or whatever, or just hook them onto the handle and winch them up. But I'm not too sure once I do that. I'll winch them up. I have to draw a drawing, I suppose. But then I've got to have a way to get them over to the wheelbarrow where I'm gonna empty them. So I've got to think about that. I did think about putting, and I'm still thinking about it, putting some boards up the side. Have you see on some of the old mines, they had, when they were on a decline, they had 2 boards, and you'd pull a trolley or something up on a bit of an angle. I could possibly do that in this corner, say, for example, to run them down on a bit of an angle. Maybe have to dig this out a bit to get the angle. And that way you pull them up and the bucket would end up sort of here somewhere, out and across to the side, and have some way of tipping it over the top of it into a wheelbarrow, or some invention, something that I haven't thought of yet. I'll go down and have a look. Yeah, so bad timing. I'll come back in the morning and show you when it's a bit more light. The hole in the morning, it looks the same as last night, but a little bit brighter. It's a lot slower than other people who were digging holes. I'll show you the height. So it's level with the top of my head there, about. So very scientific. about there. I'm at 5'8" thereabouts, so that's probably about 6'4" or something, I don't know. A bit over 6 foot. Bands of different rock here. This is all quartzy sort of stuff here. It's all been moved around over the years. There's a band there. Then bits of clay. Quite a bit of quartz here. Same down here on the side. There's quartz. There, it's probably the same part of the same vein that is all messed up here. Something's happened at the top at some stage and it's all moved around. I don't know, I can't explain that. This one's almost vertical and this one's almost horizontal. So once you get to here, this is a sort of what I call ironstone. Just sandstone with a lot of iron oxide in it. On this side of it is a different sort of rock completely. It's a sort of more pale sandstone. The quartz on one side, and then there's this band of ironstone and then clay. Interesting to see what happens when you get down. I suppose Turbo's dug his down in sort of mud, I suppose, firm mud. He's put concrete rings around, and then Dale, looks like he's digging out a sort of a clay, firm clay type thing, and shoring it up with timber. So I don't think this needs shoring, but I will shore it up anyway one day. Because Turbo's gone down a long way, I can't remember how far, but a long way, and he's going to cut his concrete rings out and sort of start tunnelling under. Dale looks like he's got a roof. He's cut, like doing almost would be a cut and cover, but he's sort of tunnelling under the shed, I suppose. Dale doesn't have to go as deep. That's what I'm getting at. So I suppose if I stand here, I want to get probably where my feet are is where the top of the tunnel will be, which means I've got to dig down another 5'8" or thereabouts from here, and then start going under. Probably this way. This is the direction of the hill, which means the roof will be getting bigger as I go across. I don't know whether I'll go down at like a slight angle or not, or whether it's 5 degrees or something, or more. I don't know. I'll think about it. I've got plenty of time to think about that while I'm digging down another 5.5 feet. Whereas on the other side, this side here, this side goes, the hill drops off on this side, so I would definitely have to go down at a 30-degree angle or something like that at least, if I was going to go down this way, which I probably won't. That's why I'm going this way. It does depend a little bit on the geology. I don't want to have a situation where I could risk having big slabs fall down because of the grain of the rock, like here. There's a small example. Like if you dug in, this is a bigger scale, you dug in under here, then this slab here could fall down, because this is a bit of a fault here by the look of it. So it depend on that, and it also depend on if I'm digging down and I find a big, like, coarse reef packed full of gold, then that'll probably dictate where I go to. But that's highly unlikely. There is gold in this area, not too far away, but nothing on the maps in this immediate area. The closest gold mine record that I can find is probably 3 or 4 kilometres away, and it wasn't a particularly big gold mine either, so the place isn't loaded with gold. But you never know. You dig down, find a quartz reef, just because there's no outcropping of gold-bearing quartz to shed gold, and it used to run down the valleys. It didn't run like little feet. It used to sort of migrate down the valleys, and then the old timers would come and pound it out, and they'd follow it up the stream, up the valley, and then up the next valley, up the tributary, and eventually they'd find the quartz outcropping that was shedding the gold, and I'm talking this shedding the gold over millions of years. And then they'd mine that particular quartz reef, usually around here quartz, but in other places in the world it may not be quartz, but usually around here it's always quartz. So they mine the quartz, get the gold out, and then for some reason the mine became non-viable and they packed up and went away. So I guess what I'm saying is, because there's no quartz outcropping around here to speak of, there may be gold down here, but no one found it because it wasn't shedding any nuggets to chase up the hill. But I'm not digging it for gold, I'm digging it for something to do anyway, which makes no sense to a lot of people, understandably.